There's an old brick building that sits on the outskirts of Millfield, Ohio. If you didn't know it was there, you'd never find it. The driveway is overgrown, swallowed by trees, and the building itself is almost completely hidden behind ivy and decay. But locals remember it. Willoughby Orphanage, a place no one visits anymore. It was established in 1893 and quietly shut down in 1978. The official reason? Structural disrepair. But that's not why people avoid it. Some say the place never truly emptied, that certain rooms still hold on to the past. One room in particular, the Cradle Room. A few years ago, a college student named Riley decided to photograph old buildings for a final project. Urban exploration was her thing, and she'd been to plenty of creepy places before. Prisons, hospitals, you name it. But Willoughby was different. She arrived late morning. The sky was gray, and the wind had that strange stillness, like the world was holding its breath. She found an opening where part of the wall had collapsed and slipped inside with her camera. The moment she crossed the threshold, something shifted. It wasn't just the silence. It was heavy, almost oppressive, like the air was thicker in there. Dust clung to the light beams filtering through cracks in the walls, and old toys lay scattered across the floor. Wooden blocks, cracked dolls, tiny shoes still neatly lined under a bench like someone had just left. She moved carefully, snapping photos of everything she could. Every room was stripped bare, mattresses gone, furniture rotting, except for one hallway on the third floor. It was narrow, and the walls were darker here, like smoke had stained them long ago. At the end of that hall, every door had been removed, except one. It was out of place. Pure white, unchipped paint, clean brass knob. No dust, no grime, just untouched. A small plaque on it read, "Cradle Room." Riley hesitated, then pushed it open. Inside, the walls were painted sky blue with faded stars and clouds. Cribs lined the room, too many for the size of the space. Each one had a dusty stuffed animal tucked under the blanket. In the center of the room sat a rocking chair. It was moving, slowly, back and forth, with no breeze, no reason. Riley lifted her camera, and it powered off. She checked her battery. Full. Tried her backup. Nothing. Every battery she brought had been drained. That had never happened before. She turned to leave, and that's when she heard it. A soft sound, like a baby cooing. Then another, and another. The noise rose, as if the cribs were occupied again. Soft giggles, faint rattling toys, a lullaby hummed by no one. Riley didn't wait. She backed out, heart pounding, never taking her eyes off the rocking chair, which had started to move faster. Back at home, she dug into the orphanage's past. In 1932, a severe flu outbreak tore through Willoughby. Several infants died over a single week, all from the Cradle Room. The remaining children began complaining of crying at night. Some swore they saw tiny hands reaching through the crib bars. Staff dismissed it as grief, until they too started hearing the sounds. Whispers, laughter, humming lullabies long after bedtime. By 1933, the Cradle Room was sealed. The door was painted over, the windows boarded up. But no one ever admitted to painting it white. The building has been condemned now. No one goes in. But sometimes, when the fog rolls through Millfield just right, people say they can see a soft light glowing in the third-floor window. And every now and then, someone hears it, the creaking of a chair, rocking slowly in the dark. In the snowy hills of northern Vermont, there's a place the maps still label as Sunnyside Home for Children. But it hasn't housed a single child since 1981. The building is crumbling, half of it buried in snow most of the year, the other half overrun by pine trees and silence. The official records say the place shut down due to budget cuts. But people in town know there was more to it. They remember the strange sounds at night, the way some kids would run away and refuse to explain why. And the broadcast. In January 1985, a man named Pete ran a ham radio station out of his basement. He was in his 50s, lived alone, and spent most of his nights scanning frequencies for stray signals and static. One night, just after 2 a.m., he picked up something strange. It started as faint crackling, then a whisper, a child's voice, barely audible, like it was coming from far away. "Hello? Can anyone hear me? Please." Pete froze. The voice was young, a girl maybe 8 or 9. She sounded scared. The signal cut out, then returned a minute later. "It's cold in here, we've been waiting. The lights won't come on anymore." More static. Then something else. A loud clang, like metal hitting metal. Then a sound Pete couldn't explain. It was like something large dragging across a wooden floor. He stayed up all night trying to trace the signal. By 3:06 a.m., the voice returned. "They locked us in. After the bell rang, the doors stopped opening. They don't come back anymore. Not after dark." And then the scream. It didn't fade. It just stopped. Cut off like someone had pressed a button. Pete recorded the whole thing. He contacted local police, who shrugged it off as a prank. But he knew the signal was real. He triangulated it, and it pointed directly to the grounds of Sunnyside home. Problem was, the place had no power, no working antennas, nothing that could broadcast anything. Pete drove out there the next day. The snow was deep, but he found a narrow path that led to the back entrance. Most of the windows were shattered. The air inside was cold, unnaturally cold. In what was once the auditorium, he found it. A rusted old speaker mounted in the rafters. Wires snaked from the ceiling, half torn. Beneath it, carved into the floorboards, were the words, "We tried to speak." He left immediately. No one else ever picked up the broadcast again. But the recording made its rounds on late-night forums for years. Everyone had the same reaction. The voice didn't sound like it was acting. It sounded tired, real, like it came from somewhere that wasn't supposed to exist anymore. To this day, no one knows how the voice came through on a dead frequency, or what she meant by, "after the bell rang." Some say the children of Sunnyside are still trapped there, their last attempt to reach the outside world coming through a forgotten radio wave. And if you're ever scanning channels late at night, don't be surprised if you hear it, a faint whisper, a child's voice. "It's cold in here. Please, don't turn it off."